Hello, it's Julius Reed here, coming at you from Melbourne, Australia. You're listening to the NeverFap Deluxe Daily, giving you advice, treats, all sorts of goodness. That's right, it's good, baby! Here's the theme tune. That's the theme tune. That's right, keeping it sexy on the show, because as a sex symbol myself, with girth the size of a log, it's so big it has been known to kill women just when they look at it. It's sort of just like, obviously, I'm coming into a room and then bam, it's like I shove them into a wall with my huge log-like penis. So aside from killing hookers, let's talk about the things that matter. The checkup! Oh shit, I pressed too many buttons at once. Oh, that's playing the theme tune there. So let's just try it again. The checkup! Checkup, Daddy Dr. Reed checking up on you, the flailing porn addict. How can help me, Julius? The porn's attacking. And obviously I just leave you there while I smoke my cigar on my roof, I don't know, I guess that's what people do these days, and watch the world burn. How are you doing? How are you coping with life? Have you been doing okay? Obviously that's what I'm here to do, is check up on you. It's sort of like you go to the doctor and it's like, oh, Daddy, Dr. Reed, help me. I've got a knife in me neck. Oh, me neck hurts. Oh, I've got a knife in me neck. Oh, no. And then I'm like, well, I can't do anything about it. I'm not a real doctor. So you're going to die in that situation. How you've been doing with your stress levels. Stress, obviously, a big factor when it comes to relapse. Relapse! Shot relapse in the head. Of course, that was also the name of my hooker. Meditation is going to help you deal with those difficult emotions, those difficult feelings. Ooh, creepy. Difficulty. That made no sense. Meditation is going to help. Exercise is also going to help. Exercise, a great way to relieve stress and that kind of thing. Remaining calm and aware is something you should be doing every second, every moment of your day. You should be thinking of how, you can sort of wind down and not get too hung up. It's often when you get to a point where, you're so stressed out and it's like, how did I get here? And it's like, well, you gradually got there because you didn't pay attention to your mental balance. This often happens when, we get frustrated, and our response to that frustration is not to be like, okay, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to take a step back. Instead, it's like, I'm going to push it harder, and then you get more and more frustrated, and then you get to a point where you're just so exhausted and brain dead, and the only thing that's really going to help is literally going to bed, because you've just knocked yourself out. So we want to avoid that. We want to be on top of our mental health, and by doing that, we can become more effective as human beings. And maybe do some killings, because you can't, it's hard to do a killing when you're not mentally well. You want to be calm. You want to know where you've got your gun for the day. Who are your targets? Are you killing the children, the elderly? I mean, these are all important factors. And what are you going to do differently tomorrow, today, maybe in the future? Maybe you have big plans. It's good to think about those things which you want to achieve. Especially when it comes to mental health. Maybe you want to increase your meditation. That's an excellent thing you can do, and it will help you immeasurably. So, that was the checkup with me, Julius Reed! Which brings us to the topic. The topic! The topic! Today's topic is deciding to overcome porn addiction doesn't get easier. That's what we're talking about, because, it's an important thing that can help some people. A bit of perspective, jam it into your throat. Of course, I'm referring to my huge penis, which has been measured in meters only since I was a young child. It's actually a bit of a burden. I have to snake it around the room, but that's a topic for another time. So deciding to overcome your porn addiction doesn't get easier. It seems, the reason why I'm talking about it is that there's a lot of people that seem to be looking for that perfect moment or time to quit their addiction. It's always it'll be after exams, or, on holidays, or, whatever sort of ideal timeline that they think, or it'll be after blah, blah. Here's the thing. There is never going to be an ideal time in your life to quit. There will always be stress. There will always be something that appears. It's kind of like there's never an ideal time to move house. Moving house is stressful. It's, there's always so much to do. There's never an ideal time to quit and address an addiction. The fact is, addiction is hard. And addressing it is difficult because it requires you getting out of your comfort zone. It requires you to take initiative. It requires you for the first time perhaps to actually to be aware that you even have a problem and to actually address it. It's so much easier just to go with it and, almost deal with the suffering that is, the guilt that you feel, the shame that you feel. And then, that's why people remain addicts for so long. It's because it's just easier to do those things. And it's never going to, it doesn't matter what your circumstance is. It's making that decision. My phone. It's funny because I got a calendar thing where it says record podcast. And it's like, I'm doing that now. Sorry, that was a tangent. So it's never going to get easier. Especially people in school, they think, oh, well, gee, I've like got to study all the time and like all this stuff. It's like, I just don't have any time. Here's the deal. You think school's hard. Wait till you have to work a full-time job. Wait till you have to go to uni. Wait till you have to like work even a part-time job. Wait till you have kids. There's never going to. It's only going to get harder, is what I'm trying to say. There's never an ideal time. The point is that there's always going to be stress. But what we're effectively doing is that we're learning to cope more effectively. I think it's important for people to look at the process of recovery not as this difficult thing, even though it can be hard, especially in the beginning. And when I say it's hard in the sense of like there's obviously an effective way to recover, and that's easy. Like if you know what you're doing, recovery is simple. It's really simple because play by play exactly what you need to do. It's hard in the beginning because people don't start with knowing what to do. People often start with, okay, well, I'm just going to stop and I'm just going to try and wing it. And, they struggle for years and it's like, why am I not getting anywhere? And then only usually after that, usually by chance as well, they happen to discover, meditation or, NeverFap Deluxe. And it's like, oh, so this is what I should have been doing this whole time. That's the hard part. Recovering itself is simple. Basically never going to be an ideal time for you to quit. There will always be stress. But it's about learning to cope more effectively. That's what recovery is. It's not necessarily that, you're going to, obviously we are going to be giving up porn and that kind of thing, entirely. But there are so many coping mechanisms that you can adopt that just make that transition easier, especially when you don't have mental balance. You kind of need like an intermediate like thing that sort of fills that gap until you develop mental balance, and then your recovery can be effortless. So, taking up hobbies is a big one. Going for walks, creating a routine from the beginning is so important. Definitely have meditation in your routine. Try and get outside. Obviously it's hard with COVID, but stretching is a great activity that you can do. I stretch 30 minutes per day. It's fantastic. Helps me a lot. So plenty of things that you can do for your recovery in the beginning that will make it so much easier. Next step is obviously to healthily manage that stress and healthily manage your emotions and your expectations using healthy coping mechanisms. Obviously, having a hobby is healthy, but it's not a direct mental health practice in the sense that meditation is, because you can obviously take a hobby too far. You can turn into obsession and that kind of thing. And often people use hobbies, as a form of distraction, which, is fine in the beginning, but it's not a long-term strategy. Only through awareness and by remaining calm will you get to where you need to. That's right, Julius Reed. How I look at it is that although there is never an ideal time to recover, there is always an ideal recovery process that you can follow and that you can stick to, which will make your recovery easy as chips. I don't think that's not a thing, but that's what's going to help. Now, this is important because it basically means that there is always a viable way forward, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter how little time you have. There is always an ideal way to approach your recovery, and as long as you take that way, everything will be fine. Basically, as long as you understand the fundamentals, you will have clarity over what you need to do, and with that clarity, essentially, you can have confidence of your recovery. Confidence, so very important. Of course, it is not the be-all or end-all. It is a nice to have. It is, in fact, you can think of it as a symptom. Confidence comes about when you have your mental health in place and you are kicking goals, baby. So that's how we do it. So that is the topic, which brings us to the viewer mail. The viewer mail. So that was the topic, very informative there, went into like a bit of a spiel into, all sorts of things. Today's viewer mail comes from Addison Murphy from Beijing, China. Beijing, China. It's obviously how Addison talks. And, as a half Chinese man myself, I can say those jokes. So screw you. That's right. So Addison says, I think I just had a miscarriage, but the dead fetus refuses to come out, and it's starting to smell. What should I do? Addison, assuming that you're a lady, of course. Obviously, Addison, this must be a difficult time for you. I recommend using a set of steel tongs dipped in mercury. Really help slide that sucker out. That's how I did it back in 4th grade when my mother needed help. Getting my brother out. Of course, it died, and but it was sexy. That's that point. Shooting it with a gun is also a great way to let it slide out. Usually, shoving the barrel of the shotgun, and definitely, the more powerful the firearm, the better it will be. But the barrel of the shotgun as deep as you can inside your vagina before pulling the trigger, and it should sound a little something like this. Bam. Of course, that wasn't a shotgun, but we can pretend. It's a podcast. Do what I want. Pull the trigger. To stop the smell, I definitely generally like to blast a can of Dio in there. Maybe you can have some of the, some scented candles inside the great cavern that is your vaginal cavity. And really, get that smell out. I like a bit of scented citrus down there, especially when I'm going down on my partner. I like to get the candles. It's delicious as well. Alternatively, you could just keep it in there. I know some guys are into that. Maybe you could haul yourself out. So like his dick is like smashing against the dead fetus, and it's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of hot. Obviously, that's disturbing. I know I'd be down for a fetus fest, as we like to call it in the industry. No one's calling it that, and definitely no one's, I don't know, maybe that is a thing that kind of is disturbing. Of course, knowing you're Chinese, I'm sure there's some kind of dish you can use the fetus with, maybe cook into a stew, maybe chug into some special fried rice. That was my attempt at racism. That's the show. Thank you for that viewer mail, Addison. Perfect person, perfect human on the show. Here's the outro. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Discord, Reddit, man, we're smashing on the Reddit. We've got like 2,000 people, all, it's like a sausage fest, but, we're trying to improve it every day. Send in a viewer mail. Check out the other podcasts I do, The Writers Daily. Stay safe, stay sexy, stay read.